When it comes to gestures, okay, we all make gestures. I'm delighted tonight. I have a microphone in one hand, I've got my little clicker in the other, because if I didn't have those two things, I'd probably be, waving my hands, looking like a bit of a penguin flapping or something. But we all make gestures when we speak, and most of us will make gestures like shrugging our shoulders, throwing our eyes to heaven, wagging our finger back in the day, maybe even still now. These are all gestures that we make. And we make the gestures to add meaning to what it is that we're saying. So it's to give another level or another layer, perhaps, to what it is that we're saying to the listener. But gestures can also be difficult things, because gestures then get all caught up in role modeling. And as parents, of course, we role model all the time for our children. But let me just give you a gesture. Any divers out there? There you are. So this is what you do when all is good. I'm okay. And this is what you do if your air is gone and you're about to die. But mostly, you're doing this to your partner, your diving buddy. So if you could just make this symbol for me with your right hand. Okay, so just wave that side to side. Wave your hand side to side. Okay, put your hand onto your nose now. Put your hand onto your nose. Yeah, now, you can put your hands down. I gave you all a very clear verbal instruction. I told you to put your hands onto your noses. And I was very disappointed to see that so many of you did this. Now, I don't like to point out, the obvious, but this is your cheek, okay? And for those of you who went, I saw you, and the camera saw you. So, the key bit here, all right, is that, that's just a cheap psychological trick, to be honest, but it does serve the function of explaining that by default, we will do what somebody does sooner than we'll do what somebody says. So if you think back to a few other moments in your glorious parenting careers where you went, "Stop shouting! Don't you hit your sister!" Those are mixed messages for your children. And not only are they mixed messages, but they will definitely follow your example of what you're doing sooner than what you're saying. So when it comes back to gestures and role modeling, when role modeling is the important bit, then it's really important that we do what it is that we say. There's no point in us giving one message verbally and then doing something completely different. When we were small, we had a car, and we were going for a family drive one time. And we were driving along, and there was another driver who came out very sharply from a turn and pulled out in front of my dad, who was driving. And my dad, shared some lovely expletive, something along the lines of, you bastard. All right? Now, of course, my mother was beside him, horrified. "Michael, not in front of the boys." Because me and my older brother were sitting there angelically in the back. And so the journey continued, all right? And probably sometime later, we were again, all four of us in the car, and we were driving along, and somebody had a very similar experience where they pulled out again, very similarly, they pulled out in front, and my dad said nothing, because the glare coming from the passenger seat told him to say nothing. But my brother, who was older than me and should have known better, pipes up from the back, "Dad, isn't this when you're supposed to say, 'You bastard'?" At which point, the game was lost.